The elevator hums, as if remembering voices it once carried. The hall smells of old varnish and ghosts of dinners long gone. She stands at the threshold, the same door that once closed on her family's tears, now trembling in her key's shadow. "Funny," she whispers, "how belonging sounds different when you own the deed." Her words dissolve into the hum of the city below, into the muttered disbelief of neighbors who watch from cracked blinds. The echo of her mother's warnings presses against her ribs. Some places remember what we owe them. Yet she steps inside, steady, the air heavy with the scent of unfinished forgiveness. Somewhere a floorboard sighs, and the house seems to answer. We'll see who belongs now. Morning breaks differently now. The building feels both awake and offended, its pipes hissing like old tongues gossiping. She walks its halls, measured, unafraid, counting the rooms her mother once cleaned, the walls Thomas once painted. Each step sounds like a question the past never stopped asking. What did you come back for? Peace or proof? Her mother arrives without warning, her silence louder than accusation. They stand in the middle of the room like two mirrors, reflecting different truths. The tea Elena carries trembles slightly, the porcelain clinking against old ghosts. "You bought it," she says. "So now what?" The question lands like a stone in water, spreading quiet ripples neither can escape. Outside, Thomas watches the movers unload furniture. He told himself he'd help, but instead he watches, arms folded, carrying the weight of a decision too old to change. The neighbors whisper, some proud, some resentful. And the sound feels like the city's verdict. At dusk, Lucia returns to the sidewalk with her sketchpad, drawing again, this time the building under new ownership. She adds her aunt's figure in the window, faint and unfinished. As streetlights hum to life, she whispers, "It doesn't look the same." Behind her, someone steps out of a car, slow, deliberate. The sound of a cane striking pavement breaking the silence. Morning light cuts through the blinds like questions that won't fade. The building creaks with the rhythm of new footsteps and old grudges. Maya hears the knock before she's ready. Slow, deliberate, a sound rehearsed in another lifetime. When she opens the door, Henry Cobb stands there. Smaller than memory, but sharper than guilt. "You bought it," he says, eyes scanning the walls. "But you'll never own what it took." His words slide through her like cold air through cracked glass. Behind her, the house settles, remembering both of them. For a moment, it's unclear who the trespasser is. Elena arrives mid-argument. The words between Maya and Cobb turn brittle, sharp. She stands in the hallway, unseen for a moment, hearing fragments, papers, payments, who deserved what. Her chest tightens at the familiarity of it all. Men talking about ownership while women clean up its ruins. When she finally speaks, her voice cracks through the noise like a hymn turned warning. "Both of you forgot," she says. "This building remembers who bled for it." The silence that follows feels like a roof sagging before the storm. Thomas returns that afternoon, sweat streaking his shirt from work. The air between them feels like wet cement, half set, half breaking. He learns too late that Cobb's money once saved their mother from eviction papers signed by his own employer. Loyalty, guilt, love. They twist together until none of them can breathe right. "You built his houses," Maya says, "and you hated him for it." Thomas doesn't answer. He just looks at his calloused hands and murmurs, "I built ours too." Lucia watches from the roof, sketchbook open on her knees. Below, voices rise, sharp, echoing. She sketches them not as people but as shapes, one angular, one hollow, one blur. For her, the building is a living thing, its bricks pulsing with memory. When her aunt calls her name from the street, she hesitates. Part of her wants to climb down. The rest wants to keep drawing until she finds where the cracks really start. Night falls heavy. The family gathers in the main room, the air thick with the hum of unresolved truth. Cobb sets a folder on the table, papers from decades ago, showing a signature that shouldn't exist. The room stills. Elena's breath catches as she reads the name. Hers. You signed it. He says softly. You just don't remember why. The words tear through the air like wind through broken glass. Maya looks at her mother, disbelief turning slow and dangerous. The building groans again, as if it's been waiting for this moment. The sound of inheritance breaking open. The papers sit on the table long after Cobb leaves, fluttering slightly in the draft. No one touches them. The silence feels too heavy, too precise, like a pause rehearsed for decades. Maya studies her mother's face, searching for answers that won't come. I didn't sign it to save him, Elena finally says. Voice small but clear. I signed it to save you. The words land without comfort, soft as falling dust, sharp as glass. In the distance, the city hums indifferent, its lights flickering like a jury that's already decided. The morning after feels colder. Thomas avoids the kitchen. Maya moves through the apartment like someone counting debts, her footsteps deliberate. Elena hums softly in the other room, an old song from before the eviction, a melody of comfort that now sounds like surrender. Lucia watches her aunt from the doorway, the girl's sketchbook open, but untouched. Every family secret, Lucia thinks, starts as love that no one knew how to give. By noon, Tomas returns from work early. His shirt still carries the scent of wet cement. He finds Maya repairing a loose door hinge, each turn of the screwdriver controlled, defiant. You think you're fixing something, he says quietly. But you're just tightening the wrong screws. She pauses, jaw clenched. You think she did it to save me, he adds, almost laughing. She did it to save herself. The words echo down the hall, heavier than the tools between them. Elena walks through the building's basement that evening, tracing the cracked foundation with her fingers. Each wall feels like an old bruise. She whispers to the silence, apologies meant for rooms, not people. When she reaches the boiler, she finds her reflection in the metal, ghostly, wavering. I signed it because he promised to keep you here, she murmurs. And I thought that was love. Upstairs, a door slams. The past answers back, night again. Maya sits on the roof where Lucia once drew, the city's skyline pulsing below. The folder of papers rests beside her, unopened now, unnecessary. She looks at the building's windows, one for every lie that kept them standing. When she closes her eyes, she hears her mother's voice, softer now. Belonging isn't about owning, it's about staying. A single tear falls, not of grief but recognition. The building hums beneath her feet, no longer an enemy, but not yet home. The letter arrives without a return address, slid under the apartment door sometime before dawn. Maya finds it folded inside an envelope yellowed with age, the ink faint but deliberate. The handwriting is unmistakable. Cobb's. Her fingers shake as she reads, Your mother agreed to more than she remembers. The words blur as she exhales. Beneath them, a line in another hand. Elena's, faint, almost erased. For the roof above her children. The paper hums with quiet betrayal. Outside, the city wakes, unaware that someone's truth just expired. Elena sits in the living room, clutching her rosary, eyes fixed on the TV that isn't on. When Maya enters, she doesn't speak, just places the letter on the table. The silence between them stretches like a wound being reopened. He said you owed him, Maya whispers. Elena doesn't look up. Everyone owes someone, she murmurs. But some debts outlive the body. The words fall flat, but the meaning burns. She didn't just trade her name. She traded years of peace. That afternoon, Thomas meets Cobb at a diner by the river. The coffee smells burnt. The windows rattle with passing trains. She kept her end, Thomas says. Cobb doesn't answer right away, stirring his cup as if trying to dissolve the past. Your mother was stronger than any of us, he says finally, voice low. But strength doesn't erase the deal. Thomas's jaw tightens. You made her sign away her life? Cobb looks up, eyes wet but steady. No, he says. She asked for it. Lucia sneaks into her grandmother's old apartment later that night. The walls still smell of lemon cleaner and thyme. She finds a metal tin under the sink, wrapped in newspaper from decades ago. Inside, a photograph of Cobb handing Elena an envelope, both smiling. Too wide, too forced. On the back, a note in Cobb's handwriting. Paid in full. Lucia stares at it, the word paid echoing until it loses meaning. She tucks the photo in her sketchbook and walks out quietly, carrying proof no one wanted. Later, Maya sits in the building's lobby, the letter in one hand, Lucia's photo in the other. The hum of the street filters through the glass doors. Her eyes close as realization settles. Her mother's signature wasn't betrayal. It was surrender. A bargain to keep them sheltered under a man who turned mercy into debt. She whispers, almost to herself, "He didn't buy us. He rented our silence." Somewhere above, a light flickers and dies, and the building exhales. The tenants gather in the courtyard for what was meant to be a celebration. New ownership, new life for an old building. Maya stands near the steps, a folder pressed to her chest. The hum of conversation fades as she looks up to find Cobb watching her from the edge of the crowd, cane tapping slowly against the concrete. "You should speak," he says quietly, almost kind. "Tell them what you bought." She stares at him, something old and electric sparking between them. "No," she replies. "I'll tell them what you sold." The air thickens. The past tilts toward daylight. Elena steps outside mid-speech, drawn by the noise. She sees Maya holding the letter high, her voice clear but shaking as she reads Cobb's words aloud. Gasps ripple through the crowd. "He bought the silence that built this place," Maya says, "and called it mercy." The paper trembles in her hand, but her tone holds. Elena's lips part, a soft sound escaping. Part pride, part grief. Thomas watches from the doorway, arms crossed, his expression unreadable. The crowd begins to murmur, not in anger, but awakening. Cobb moves forward, his steps slow but deliberate. "You think you own this story," he says, voice cracking. "I kept this building alive when the city left it for dead." Maya's eyes flash. "You kept it because it made you feel powerful," she answers. "And we kept living here because we didn't have a choice." The crowd shifts, whispers like wind through trees. Cobb looks around. At the faces, the windows, the walls, realizing he's standing in a world that no longer needs his permission to exist. Thomas steps forward, breaking his long silence. "You think you saved us, but you just saved yourself from being the villain," he says to Cobb. Then, turning to Maya, his voice softens. "And you're trying to erase history when we should be rebuilding it." The words land between them, raw and clean. Maya exhales, something loosening inside. For the first time, she doesn't argue. The building behind them hums, alive, listening, as if deciding who it will forgive. Night settles like a held breath. The crowd disperses slowly, voices soft, the tension fading into murmured understanding. Cobb lingers by the gate, eyes wet but calm. Maya walks past him without a word, stopping only to lay the letter on the steps. "Keep it," she says. "It belongs to the building now." As she walks inside, the lights flicker once, steady again, as if the structure itself has decided to keep standing. Elena's hand finds hers on the stair. Neither looks back. The past has been priced and finally paid. Morning creeps through the boarded windows, soft and pale. The courtyard is empty now, but the air still remembers last night's words. Maya walks the hall slowly, hand tracing the walls. Each dent, each nail, each ghost. The building feels different. Lighter in places, heavier in others. From somewhere above, faint music drifts through the vents, An old radio left on in an abandoned unit. The melody bends around her like forgiveness trying to find its way home. For the first time, she doesn't fight the quiet. She lets it stay. Elena sits by the window, her reflection ghosted against the glass. She listens to the distant hum of the city and whispers to no one, "He's gone." Then, quieter. But it still feels like he's here. The weight of years presses down. Not grief, not guilt, something quieter. Memory with nowhere left to go. She looks toward the courtyard where sunlight now rests gently on the steps where truth once broke open. Her eyes close. Her breathing steadies. Some debts don't end. They just change shape. Thomas works alone on the roof, patching leaks that have waited years for repair. Sweat beads on his forehead, mixing with dust and drizzle. Each hammer strike echoes like punctuation. Solid, necessary, forgiving. Lucia joins him quietly, handing him nails without speaking. The two work in rhythm, the sound of their labor filling the silence that used to divide them. When he finally looks up, she's smiling faintly. A new foundation forming, not of walls, but of understanding. As evening falls, Maya unlocks the basement door. The smell of damp concrete greets her. Familiar, heavy. She finds the boiler still warm, the same place her mother once whispered apologies to the dark. She kneels and places the folder of papers inside an old tin box. "Stay here," she says softly. "You belong more than we ever did." When she closes the lid, the sound echoes through the pipes, traveling upward. A pulse, a heartbeat, a home learning how to breathe again. Night settles gently over the building. The windows flicker with quiet life. Neighbors cooking, children laughing faintly. A radio humming an old tune. From the roof, Lucia sketches again, her lines softer now, no longer tracing anger but light. Down below, Maya looks out her window, eyes on the same stars she once thought were far away. The city doesn't apologize, it just keeps moving. And somehow that's enough. The building stands, not redeemed, not cleansed, but alive, carrying everyone it once rejected. Morning sunlight spills across the newly painted lobby. The smell of fresh plaster blends with coffee from a neighbor's open door. For the first time, Maya doesn't flinch at the sound of footsteps in the hall. They belong to life, not ghosts. She watches as tenants pass, nodding politely, the quiet exchange of people learning to share space again. Somewhere inside her, a door unlocks, one that was never part of the building's blueprints. She realizes belonging was never about reclaiming walls, but choosing to stay within them. Elena tends to the small potted plants she's lined along the windowsill. Their leaves catch the light, trembling slightly in the breeze. She hums the same melody that once carried through the vents, but now it sounds fuller, steadier. On the counter sits the old tin box from the basement, lid closed, dustless. When Maya enters, Elena smiles without apology. "You can hear it too, can't you?" she asks. Maya nods, listening, not to ghosts, but to water pipes running, the steady heart of a living home. Lucia pins her finished sketch to the wall in the stairwell, the building drawn in soft charcoal lines, every window filled with light. Thomas stops beside her, gazing at it for a long moment. "You made it look kinder," he says. She shrugs. "Maybe it finally is." Their laughter rises and echoes up the stairwell, bouncing off the old plaster like music. For the first time, the sound doesn't feel out of place. It feels like something the walls were built to hold. As dusk settles, Maya walks through the courtyard, touching the railings, the benches, the gate. Children play near the fountain, their laughter mixing with the low hum of city traffic. She pauses under the light where Cobb once stood. A faint breeze stirs the trees. The gate creaks open by itself, slow and weightless. She doesn't step through. Instead, she turns back toward the building, eyes reflecting its lit windows. The ghosts are still here, but they're quieter now, waiting, not haunting. Night drapes gently over the city. The building hums steady, alive. Through the open windows, The sound of laughter, clinking cups, and a faint radio melody weave together. Not harmony, not perfection, but persistence. Maya leans out her window, feeling the cool air brush her face. Below, Elena closes the curtains. Tomas and Lucia share quiet words, and the streetlights blink in time with the pulse of home. "They said you don't belong here," she whispers to the night, smiling. "But I do now."